Sagittarius, shocking news hits. They'll see you rise. The answer you waited for arrives. Hashtag Sagittarius. Have you ever felt like your truth is too big for the room you're in? Like there's something stirring in you. Wild, radiant, undeniable. But every time you try to express it, the world says, tone it down? Sagittarius, if that sounds like you, you're not alone. And you didn't find this message by accident. I'm Sophia, and this is Zodiac Wisdom, your sanctuary for soul-healing astrology. I'm not just here to tell you about stars and signs. I'm here to help you return to the core of who you are. Free, bold, fiercely loving, and done with dimming your light to make others comfortable. If you've been feeling like something is about to shift, even if you can't explain what or how, I invite you to stay with me. Because what I'm about to share with you is not just a prediction. It's a soul reminder. Something shocking is coming your way, not to destroy your peace, but to awaken your power. A hidden truth. An answer you thought would never arrive. And when it does, the very people who overlooked you will have no choice but to witness your rise. I've seen this happen before. Just last year, a woman named Linda, 54, a Sagittarius, a former accountant who'd spent 2 decades quietly working behind the scenes, finally listened to that restless feeling she had ignored for years. She enrolled in a 6-week herbal healing workshop, something she'd always wanted to do but never gave herself permission to explore. Fast forward 6 months and Linda now runs a thriving online business that not only supports her financially, it gives her soul oxygen. It all started with a sign that didn't make sense at the time. A client unexpectedly canceled, and for the first time in years she had a free afternoon. That pause cracked her open. Sagittarius, maybe your pause has already begun. Don't rush past it. What if this video is the sign you've been asking for? What if this message is what you needed to believe again, not in me but in you? Stay until the very end, because the most beautiful part of what's coming isn't just about the breakthrough. It's about the version of you that will finally emerge. And when that moment comes, it won't feel like an explosion. It'll feel like exhaling after years of holding your breath. So go ahead, hit like, share this with another Sagittarius who needs it, and subscribe to Zodiac Wisdom. And tell me, what part of you is quietly waking up right now? Drop it in the comments below. We're not just building a channel. We're building a movement of wild hearts who are ready to come home to themselves. Gate 1. The fire within you is waking up. Sagittarius, if you felt a strange discomfort in your bones lately, as if the life you've carefully built no longer fits you, you're not broken. You're not restless for no reason. You're waking up. Something ancient inside you is rising, not in rage, not in panic, but in quiet defiance. A whisper saying, I'm meant for more. You may still be showing up to work, smiling at the neighbors, handling the family, but inside something doesn't settle. And that's not a crisis. It's the beginning of your truth taking shape. For years, many Sagittarius women I've spoken with, especially those in their 40s, 50s, and even 60s, told me they felt like they were living in someone else's story. They had done what was expected, built a business, raised children, supported their partners, smiled through it all. But deep down they were aching for something they couldn't name. A return to vitality, to passion, to meaning. Like Pam, a 47-year-old Sag from Arizona. She ran a modest but successful graphic design business from home. Everyone thought she had it all. Freedom, stability, clients who respected her. But every day, Pam woke up with a sinking feeling. Not because her life was falling apart, but because it no longer reflected the woman she had become. She had outgrown it. One day she stumbled upon an old notebook she'd kept in her 20s, pages filled with dreams of traveling through Morocco, learning to dance, writing a novel. Dreams that had once lit her up, now buried under invoices and responsibility. She cried for an hour. And then she did something wild. She booked a solo trip to Andalusia. Not forever. Just 10 days. But in those 10 days she came home to herself. When she returned, her business didn't collapse. It transformed. She began incorporating travel-inspired branding into her work, attracting clients who shared her fire. That reckless trip? It became her rebirth. Sagittarius, this is how your transformation begins. Not with an explosion, with a nudge, a question, a subtle dissatisfaction that says, this is fine, but it's not me anymore. Your fire, the one that used to roar but has been smothered by duty, is asking to be relit. And this fire doesn't want to burn down your life. It wants to illuminate it. Maybe it shows up as a sudden aversion to people-pleasing, or the realization that you've been saying yes to things just to avoid conflict. Or maybe you simply can't pretend anymore that you're fulfilled by things that no longer resonate. This is not midlife crisis. This is soul realignment, a return to the compass of joy. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion, truth, and faith. And when your inner world no longer expands, your soul starts sending signals. A tightening in your chest, exhaustion you can't explain, a craving for movement, adventure, or anything that doesn't feel scripted. If you're feeling this, you are not losing your mind. You are finally listening to your deeper self. And your deeper self doesn't care about resumes or performance reviews. She wants aliveness. You may fear change because of stability, because you've worked hard for this life, because people depend on you. But I promise you, Sagittarius, what truly nourishes your soul will never ask you to abandon what matters. It will simply ask you to stop abandoning yourself. You don't need to burn the whole house down. You only need to open the window and let your fire breathe. Start small. Ask yourself, what did I love before life got loud? What did I crave before I started prioritizing survival over joy? Even if it feels foolish, go there. Dust off an old guitar. Sign up for a cooking class. Walk a new path just for the thrill of being lost again. Don't wait until you're ready. Ready never comes. Sagittarius is not here to be contained. You are here to explore, teach, create, disrupt, and expand. If your life no longer fits, it's not a failure. It's an invitation. A sign that your spirit is stretching toward something greater. And yes, it might feel lonely at first. You may find people don't understand your hunger for change. But they don't have to. This path wasn't sent to them, it was sent to you. Sagittarius, your fire is not a flaw. It is the light others will follow when they too forget who they are. So if you've been waiting for permission to change, here it is. You are allowed to want more. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to return to your own truth even if no one claps for you yet. Because one day they will. They'll see you thriving in a life that finally reflects your spirit. And they'll say, I didn't see it back then, but now I do. Let this be the moment you start seeing it for yourself. Gate 2. The chapter you must close even if it hurts. Sagittarius, you have a gift for moving forward. You're the zodiac's adventurer, the truth seeker, the one who chases horizons that others fear to even imagine. But what few understand is that even you, the wild, brave, freedom-loving archer, sometimes stay too long in places your soul has already outgrown. Not because you're lost, but because you've loved deeply. Because you hoped it could still work. Because you believed if you gave it just one more chance it might transform. But some chapters don't transform. They end. And the bravest thing you can do now is close the door that keeps you circling the same loop. I remember working with a client named Tara, a Sagittarius mother of 2 who had built a life that looked nearly perfect on paper. She had a steady part-time consulting job, a cozy home in Portland, and a partner she had been with for over 15 years. But when she came to me, her voice shook. Not with sadness, with confusion. I don't know why I feel so numb, she said. I'm not miserable. He's not cruel. My job's not terrible. But I feel like I'm disappearing. It wasn't about a fight. It wasn't about betrayal. It was about quiet erosion of joy, of connection, of who she really was inside. I keep hoping I'll feel something again, she admitted. But every day, I feel more like a ghost in my own home. This is how a chapter ends for many Sagittarians. Not with fireworks, but with fading light. Not in chaos, but in the slow, aching realization that staying is no longer an act of love, but of fear. Fear of hurting others. Fear of judgment. Fear of stepping into the unknown. But Sagittarius, let's be honest. You were never built for safe stagnation. You were born to risk. Not recklessly, but truthfully. When something no longer brings you to life, your soul starts dimming, no matter how much sense it makes on paper. There's a truth you've been avoiding. A conversation you've been putting off. Maybe it's with a partner who no longer sees you. Maybe it's with yourself, about a career that once thrilled you but now just drains your light. Maybe it's with a friend who constantly takes and rarely gives. And maybe, just maybe, it's with the past version of you, the one who once made choices out of survival, not alignment. Sagittarius, it's okay to admit it. You've changed. And that version of you who tolerated too much, gave away too much, waited too long has earned her release. The hardest part of this chapter isn't the goodbye. It's the grief of letting go of the hope you poured into something. You're not just walking away from a person or a job. You're walking away from who you tried to be to make it work. That's why it hurts. That's why you hesitate. But let me say this clearly. Choosing yourself is not selfish. It's sacred. And closing the chapter is not quitting. It's honoring the truth your soul has been whispering for months, maybe even years. Sometimes the door won't shut until you stop holding it open. Until you stop fantasizing that if you just keep the peace a little longer, if you shrink a little more, maybe they'll finally see you. But love isn't supposed to feel like erasure. Work isn't supposed to feel like suffocation. Friendship isn't supposed to drain your spirit. There's an ending coming, not because you failed, but because you've outgrown the shell that once held you. And no, you don't have to burn bridges or destroy everything to begin again. But you do have to tell the truth. The real truth. Even if your voice shakes. Even if it means disappointing people. Because every time you lie to yourself to keep something going, you lose a piece of your light. Sagittarius, you are ruled by expansion. When your environment becomes too small for your spirit, life will whisper, and then shout until you move. So if you've been receiving signs, recurring dreams, unexplained exhaustion, a persistent sadness that doesn't quite make sense, pay attention. That's your soul asking, can we leave now? And if someone walks away when you start shining brighter, let them. If a door closes when you finally speak your truth, let it. Those who are meant for you will not require your silence to stay. What happens after you close the chapter? It won't be easy at first. You might feel empty. You might feel lost. You might second-guess everything. But soon in the quiet you'll feel it, breath, space, possibility. You'll remember what it feels like to be fully yourself again, unedited. And then you'll begin again, not from scratch but from experience. Not from desperation but from clarity. So here's your invitation, Sagittarius. Write the ending yourself. Don't wait for life to rip it from your hands. Close the chapter with dignity. Thank it. Bless it. Release it. Then turn the page. Because what comes next isn't just a new storyline. It's a new you, unapologetic, reawakened, and finally free. Gate 3. The real love you've always deserved. Sagittarius, for all your fire and freedom, what you crave most isn't the thrill of the chase. It's truth. Deep, soul-aligning, heart-clearing truth. In love you've played every role. The one who saves. The one who inspires. The one who waits. You've laughed loud, loved fully, and leapt without a parachute more times than anyone could count. But lately something's shifted, hasn't it? The old stories no longer feel romantic. The high highs and crashing lows have started to exhaust you. You're no longer asking for excitement. You're asking for real. And that, my dear, is the beginning of a completely different kind of love. Let me tell you about Andrea, one of my longtime clients. A Sagittarius in her late 40s, she ran her own interior design business from her home in Santa Fe. Vibrant, witty, fiercely independent on the surface, she seemed like the last person to struggle with love. But when we met, she was holding on to someone who only ever offered her almost available, almost honest, almost ready. I don't know why I can't let go, she told me once. I know he's not my forever, but part of me keeps hoping. What she didn't realize back then was this. The love she wanted didn't exist in him. It existed in the part of her she was still waiting to reclaim. Because real love isn't found by searching harder. It's revealed when you finally stop hiding. And Sagittarius, you've hidden more than people realize. Behind your humor, your restlessness, your easy way of moving on. You've tucked away a vulnerability so rare, it feels almost dangerous to show. You've been burned, lied to, misunderstood. You've been the one who smiled while they left, who said, "I'm fine," when your chest was breaking. And through it all, you've kept your heart open. Or at least you tried. But real love, true soul-recognizing love, doesn't require you to try so hard. It won't confuse consistency with intensity. It won't make you wait for a text, wonder what you did wrong, or keep apologizing just to keep the peace. The love you deserve sees you clearly. And instead of shrinking away, it steps closer. This is the turning point, Sagittarius. You're no longer looking for love to rescue you. You're ready to meet love as an equal. Not because you've hardened, but because you've healed. You've stopped mistaking passion for partnership. You've stopped believing the story that says you have to chase to prove your worth. You're not here to be the muse anymore. You're here to be met. And it starts with you. Before real love finds you, you will find yourself again. In the quiet moments. In the laughter that returns without effort. In the way you begin to enjoy your own company more than someone who only offers you halfway. You'll notice it when you stop trying to fix people. When you say no without guilt. When you delete their number not in anger, but in peace. That's the shift. That's when the signal changes. Because here's the truth. Real love isn't loud. It's steady. It's the way someone shows up even when it's inconvenient. It's how they talk to you when you're not easy to love. It's their willingness to stay when you're not glowing. And most of all, it's how you talk to yourself when no one's watching. If you want to attract the love you deserve, Sagittarius, start by becoming the partner you've always dreamed of. Speak kindly to your reflection. Cook dinner just for you. Say, I love you in the mirror when you feel most unworthy. These aren't just cute rituals. They are soul recalibrations. When you become the sanctuary, love doesn't need to save you. It simply comes home. And maybe, just maybe, someone new is already circling your orbit. Someone who doesn't flinch when you speak your truth. Someone who sees the fire in your eyes and doesn't try to control it, but asks, where are we going next? They won't always look like what you expected. They may come quietly. But when they sit beside you, something deep within you will exhale. Not because you need them to survive, but because, finally, someone stayed while you were still in your becoming. Whether you're partnered or alone, this next chapter of love is not about the other person. It's about the version of you who's finally ready to be loved in the way you've always given. With clarity. With courage. With conviction. No more proving. No more performing. No more protecting everyone else's peace at the expense of your own. You're stepping into a sacred era of connection now. Not as someone who hopes to be chosen, but as someone who chooses. And what you choose from now on is different. You'll choose the quiet conversation over the chaos. The steady presence over the charismatic excuse. The one who says what they mean and means what they say. So Sagittarius, if love has let you down before, let it go. It wasn't love. It was a lesson. And if love is still hiding, let it come. But don't wait passively. Live fully. Glow anyway. Because the moment you forget to look for love is usually the exact moment it finds you. And this time it won't shake your foundation. It will stand beside you while you build something new, rooted, radiant, and real. Conclusion. You are already becoming everything you were meant to be. Sagittarius, if you've made it this far, I want you to pause for a second, not to reflect on the words I've said, but on the journey you've already walked. You've crossed deserts of self-doubt, climbed mountains of uncertainty. You've lit torches for others while your own path was still dark. And through it all you kept going. Not because life was easy, but because something inside you whispered, there's more. And you were right. What's ahead is not just another phase, it's a rebirth, a return, a revelation. You're not becoming someone new. You're finally becoming you, the version that doesn't flinch at her own power, that doesn't over-explain her needs, that doesn't ask for permission to glow. You are not too much. You are just enough for the space your soul was born to fill. This journey we've shared today, through truth, through endings, through love, is not the end of the road. It's just the first flame in a long, beautiful fire. One that you get to tend, feed, and walk beside. If something stirred in you, if even one sentence made your heart go still, hold on to that. That stillness is sacred. It means your soul heard what it needed. So let me ask you this. What part of yourself are you finally ready to reclaim? What truth are you brave enough to live out loud? What kind of love will you no longer apologize for needing? Leave it in the comments. Not for validation, but as a promise to yourself. Let this be the space where you say, I'm coming back to me. And while you're here, remember, you're part of something bigger now. This isn't just a video, it's a shared space. A soul community. And I'll be here for every step of your becoming. So if you're a Sagittarius, or if you love someone who is, or if you just believe that your story still has unwritten pages, stay. Subscribe. We're just getting started. There's more light, more truth, more healing to come. Because Sagittarius, you don't rise by proving anything to the world. You rise by remembering who you are. And when you do, the world doesn't just watch. It transforms with you. Keep going. You're already everything you need to be.